By the way, what's good, man?
What's up?
We got DREXX in the
Poppin'?
motherfucking building.
Sir. Hold up.
Yeah, bro.
Put you somewhere.
How's
Alright.
everything been, bro? How you been?
Bro, just vibing, like, life gets stressful, but it's all about just, like, staying positive, bro. And I've been just, it's funny because I'm staying positive and it's just it's been coming back. Like, I've been feeling that heavy. Like, this just came right back to me and it's just been great, bro.
Yeah, bro. It's crazy, man. The time that we going through and stuff with all of this stay safe and don't cough on me shit.
It
Yeah,
can, yeah, like, you can look at it like that, but you can also look at it from another perspective. It's like it gives you the opportunity to spend time with people that you live with, your family. And a lot
yeah.
of people, they get distracted with their daily life and friends and all that to where they
Mm.
don't really fully appreciate their family. And I feel like it can give you a chance to do that.
Yeah, get to know them a little bit better, right? A little bit deeper. You know what I'm saying? And
Hmm.
we spend so much time being individuals away from our family, man. That, sometimes we need this type of shit, and just crazy how tragedy and like shit like that is what does it. It brings us together. You know what I'm saying? So right now, as far as the quarantine and shit, man, how you been staying safe? And
Man,
how's it been affecting you, bro?
me personally, I work. So I'm in essential business right now, which
Mm.
means I work. Sorry, my screen's fucked up. It's all
No, no,
cracked, bro.
it's all good, bro.
But I,
Some rockstar shit.
hell yeah, just fucking destroying shit, bro. Bro,
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know. Like, I work though, so I get out. Like, I do get out of the house, a lot more than most, almost
Mhm.
like at least 5 days a week. And then on my days off, bro, I just chill. Like, it's a great time to create. Like, it's a perfect time to use it as a means of creation, bro. Like, you can take it and look at it like, damn, I wish I could go to the beach. I wish I could go do this, but it's almost like you're there, just fucking create, bro. Do something creative. Learn something else. Learn a new language. Study philosophy. Study religion. Do something that can, like, you wouldn't normally be able to do if you were at
Mhm.
work every day.
Yeah, that's true. That's facts. It does. It gives you that time to really dig deep, right?
Hell yeah.
I would say
Oh,
so.
yeah.
So, like, what do you what do you feel about like how this is gonna affect things going forward in the future? How are we gonna to be able to move differently, and what do you think is gonna change?
Uh, I feel like this just changes a lot compared to when it comes to, like, economic. Obviously, when you're talking economics, it can change a lot in terms of, people being able to buy certain things, how low they are on money and stuff of the sort. It can
Yeah,
it can change that. But I also feel like it's gonna have a big social impact in terms of, like, how we treat the earth and just in general how we live our everyday lives, being a slave to our physical and how we think. So in my opinion, like, it sounds crazy. A lot of the shit I say does, but
pop that shit.
so I think, like, the coronavirus. A lot of people have conspiracies about it and shit, and they think, oh, like, it's a government thing. It's a government thing. They're trying to do this and that. I believe that it's Mother Nature saying, look, y'all been, like, killing me for, like, ever now, and officially we have to take care of you guys. And granted, I think that the virus itself isn't as serious as a lot of people make it out to be, but I do have a feeling that it's just the way of life. We are obviously a virus to the world, and the world will find a way to fight back, whether we like it or not.
Big fucking facts, bro. That's
Yep.
crazy. That's pretty in depth, bro. I fuck with that shit, bro. That's because it's all about perspective, man. I think the way people are viewing this shit, they're gonna either look at it from a negative perspective or a really good perspective.
Exactly.
So it's like I think naturally, like if it is the Earth and everything, then it's playing its course because I believe like the Earth and shit is perfect without us. You know what I'm saying? I
Oh
believe all
yeah,
the complications that we've created for this place is our fault. You know what I'm saying?
bro.
But like
Almost
what
all
do
of
you
it.
think? What do you think about it being like okay? So if you believe that it's a nature thing, do you believe that you don't feed into the bullshit about people talking about people using this like for control and population control and all that shit? Do you?
I'm not obviously I'm not an insider, so I can't say for sure.
Yeah.
But I just think, in my personal opinion, the government has a lot of power, but I have a feeling that right now it wouldn't make much sense for them to do that because population control, it's not just us getting it. It's not just lower class people. In fact, a lot of the people that I talk to in my neighborhood, which is mid to lower class, they've never heard of someone with it. A-listers. A lot of Hollywood insiders, a lot of politicians are getting it, NBA stars. It's weird because if anything, I wouldn't think it's population control if it was a government thing. I would
Mm.
think it's more of a social control because we're trying to allow an outlet for maybe new celebrities and A-listers, and then they can, and I think they would be industry plants. But I don't know if
Mm.
I feed into that hardcore. I would just say that it could be a possibility.
Have you been hearing anything about this what people were saying about 5G?
Yeah, I've heard a little bit about it, like where there's some science behind it, but I always like to do more research before I
Yeah,
get an opinion on something.
yeah.
It's obvious that what we're doing with using phones and having radiation and these signals, it's all energy, and
Mm.
our energy feeds off of nature. Our whole body feeds off of oxygen, nature, and we're putting electrical currents in the air. And when you really think about it on not even a scientific level, just an energy level, it really doesn't make sense to do that because if it's an electrical wave or a radiation wave or
Mm.
anything, it's gonna fuck with our energy either way. And then it can of course lead into the physical aspects of that as well.
Yeah, because I was talking to I was talking to my brother. My brother, he's been doing like he did some research on it, and we were just talking about it and just like trying to understand like what perspective this is and like
Yeah.
why they would say something like 5G would be something that would hurt us and stuff. And he was
Well,
talking about the what do you call that? Like I guess every era of technology that comes in, it creates something, right? Like like a mutation almost because back in the day before TVs were around, cancer wasn't a big thing. Then when TVs came around, cancer started to spike up. And then he was also talking about, the types of cancer that there is. There's like for men, there's testicular cancer.
mhm.
There's colon cancer and stuff like that. There's lung cancer and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? But then you think about it, like he was explaining, like where do you keep your phone? In
Yeah,
your
in
front
your
pocket.
pocket, right? Yeah,
Where do you keep your, like some guys keep their phone in their back pocket, you know what I'm saying, which is
yeah.
crazy. And then you think about breast cancer, and then you think about like how when women go to clubs, or when they go out in general, it's a convenient place to put their
True,
phone in their bra,
true.
which is weird coincidence. I think when it comes to like
Hey, you relax. I got piranhas out
we
here.
got the features over there.
Hold on, I'm moving inside.
Hey bro,
What up?
I brought out the bum beer, bro.
What?
I brought out some bum beer, bro.
Bruh, oh god, that shit's so bomb.
This is
Yo,
my shit, yo. I don't give a fuck. It's bum beer.
hell
I love
nah,
it.
bro. That shit ain't. Dude, I drank a whole one of those and I still didn't feel shit.
Bruh, man, I don't know. Your tolerance must be up there, nigga. Cause,
No, it was when I was at Austin's, bro.
mm, yeah.
Either
But
way, I was gonna bring out a Corona and be like the whole Corona. I was gonna do some fucking. I was like, nah, it's corny as fuck.
that's crazy shit. Yeah, but so I don't know. I think the 5G shit, man. I think it's just. I don't know if it's talk. I'm not a scientist, but like
Yeah,
I guess we
it
just got to
could be.
do more of our own shit, bro. Like our own research type of shit, right?
Well, and it's just in general having a better connection with like the world. We have our phones on us all the time because it's a form of disconnection and connection at the same time. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
the same with music. It's a disconnection from your outer world, but it's a connection on a more emotional, spiritual level. It's the same way with your phone. But I feel like you have to have a balance between the two, especially your phone being a distraction. I mean, all it does is feed you bullshit no one really cares about, but the majority of people do care about because it's all they do. They don't
Yeah.
spend their time trying to do something else. They don't spend their time trying to actually like create. And I feel like it's easy to feed into those distractions. It's fun. It's like, oh shit, like Kylie Jenner did this and that, or like, I'm not hating on Kylie or whatever. I'm just saying in general,
Yeah,
like
yeah. Just
it's
like
easy.
just
Like
the personality in general.
it's
Yeah.
like, why do I give a fuck if this person has this new Louis Vuitton bag and it got like rained on? Like, okay, great, good for you. Like, I'm sorry, that sucks, but like,
Yeah.
I'm more worried about something else. Like on a way more like far more. Not like I'm trying to speak down on them. They're not wrong for that. That's how they want to live their life. That's totally cool, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But me personally, I just don't relate to that. So on my phone, I really just spend it either talking to people or I spend it trying to research or creating something.
How, how
That's why.
important how important is connection with DREXX? Like as far as relationships and being able to maintain relationships, and like how does that tie in with the music as well?
Well, bro, it's what life's all about, man. I mean, in my opinion, we're all one connected consciousness anyway.
Mm.
So when you have a relationship with someone, it should be an all in all relationship, and whether it's a friendship, relationship, anything in general, it's the connection you build with something has to be real, and loyalty is a big thing. You can't just speak on one side and then not be okay with another side, and then when you're with someone else, change up. And I
Mm.
feel like it's all about being, and that's not even a respect for me thing. If you do that and you switch up, that's more of like I feel bad for you because you don't respect yourself. You don't
Mm.
know yourself. You don't
Mm.
know what your morals are. You're okay with switching up. And in
Yeah,
my opinion, I wouldn't want to be connected with something like that. I
yeah,
want to
yeah,
be connected
definitely.
with someone who's solid in their opinion. And
Hmm.
my whole music, all of my music, and all of my artwork, anything I draw, I do a lot of stuff. But music in general is supposed to be the outlet for what happens, when the emotions that deal with connectivity and societal problems kind of fill up and just burst. It's just like I'm trying to spit whatever I feel on that in the most in your face way because you can be, I actually spit a lot of positivity and love, but my music is very aggressive sounding, and sometimes it can be on the sad sounding, whatever.
Mm.
But I'm spitting positivity. The only reason I go for that sound is because more people gotta be like, what the, like, they're gonna hear it and be like, what the fuck, like, he's snapping, what's he saying, why is he doing that? And then
Yeah.
it gets that message across in terms of like knowing yourself, like knowing what you are in terms of your consciousness, how important you are.
So, so what would you say, like, because I know like you mix like the rock and trap like
Yeah,
sound, which
yeah,
is crazy. It's crazy shit, bro.
appreciate it. Yeah,
I haven't heard that much of that
yeah.
type of stuff, and especially in the city, you're like the only one I know.
I don't know a
Besides,
lot of people like that
probably like
either. The only
maybe
person,
two more people that I know that does a similar thing, but it's just completely different, bro. Like
yeah,
your shit is like completely talking from a perspective, like from how you're explaining, your belief system. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah,
the majority of that other rock and roll rap shit that I hear in the city is more about like it's wave, it's like vibe, it's like
yeah.
it's chants and shit like that. But like that's why I fuck with your shit, bro. Your shit's definitely unique and it stands
I
apart, bro.
appreciate it. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. Yeah, man. Like,
So where did you get your name from, bro? DREXX.
bro, I was like, I wonder if he's gonna ask that shit. I was in my head. I was like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of goes into like, everything with my whole artistry is me. I'm just not an alter ego. It's not anything. It's me. And I wanted to really represent that with my name DREXX because for a long time I was addicted to um, DXM, which is a cough medicine, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like codeine, but it's actually a little more hallucinogenic. And I was addicted to it for a long time, probably a good period of 6 to 7 months, where I was just, and it has effects to where you end up becoming, because it's a dissociative. So I was dissociating from myself every day, and at the end of those months, I just felt like I wasn't even existing. I just felt like I was empty and inside, and it was a good, like, it's good in moderation. I'm not going to speak down on the substance, but you can be addicted to it and you can abuse it.
So
Um,
how do you feel about artists and substance abuse in general? Like, where do you think they play a part hand in hand?
Well, like, it's a weird argument because there's a difference between saying like, uh, Papa Molly, Papa Bean versus like saying I do that and this is like, oh, this there's the reason. Like you
Mm.
can say, like, like a Lil Pump. He has a song where he's talking about Molly, and it's
Mm.
just like how much he loves Molly. Well, kids are going to hear that, and not kids only, but just people in general are going to hear that and hear, oh, I'm an addict, I love drugs. But if you kind of try and find a way to, because you're not really pushing forward with substance abuse in general.
Yeah.
You can. I feel like there's a problem with the whole drug war, and I feel like we view drugs in general wholly different. I think we should actually just decriminalize every drug. I feel like it doesn't make sense not to. Portugal and New Zealand, I believe, have done it.
Yeah.
And ever since, their OD rates, addiction rates, AIDS rates all plummeted. And it's a weird view, but if you look into it, it can change your mind. So going into like artists talking about it, you know, you can view it as they're artists and they're influencing kids, or you can view it as, well, they're an artist. They if they want to speak what they want to speak, they can speak it. And if you decide to allow that to influence you in a way, or you can't stop it from doing that, then maybe
Yeah.
you need to, just like I said, find yourself a little more. That's
Where
the
do you
problem
think
with
that?
people.
What's the connection between artist and drugs? Like, what do you think? What do you think that is?
Um, it depends, you know. Like if you're a drug addict talking about meth and heroin and all that, you're probably an addict. You know, there's a
Mm.
good chance you're an addict. But if you talk about like stuff like weed, you know, it's just a culture. You know, a lot of people know weed's safe.
Mhm.
If you talk about acid and stuff like of the sort, you're probably more on the open-minded side or the trippy side, you would say, you know.
Mhm.
And if you look into the science, those really don't have addictive properties. So
Mm.
looking beyond, like, is it addiction? I feel like if you can take acid or take psilocybin or take weed and use that to inspire you, which, by the way, it's one of my biggest influences,
Mhm.
the usage of acid. I mean, it's changed me in such the most positive way that it
Mm.
really helps me create and just show myself to the people more.
So, what do you think about doctors that have been prescribing psychedelics to patients with like PTSD and like traumatizing experiences and stuff?
You said ecstasy or MDMA?
No, they do it with psychedelics, like
Oh yeah, yeah,
yeah, you know, stuff like that, like mushrooms in small doses and microgramming and shit like that. But like, what do you think? Like, what do you think about it? Like about how they're the science behind the medicine that they, you know, that it could be, and like,
yeah,
how
yeah.
do you feel about it?
So first, I gotta shout out my boy Braden up in the chat. I see him.
Mm.
I see you. What's up? Secondly, my boy's been here this whole time. Poltergeist up in the building.
Yeah, yeah, what's good, bro?
He's over here grinding up weed. Anyway,
Hell yeah.
I feel like, bro, like it's awesome because we're finally getting to a point where independent researchers and not even independent researchers are actually studying the effects on a more emotional and physical level as well. Because you don't treat a pain in your arm with LSD. You treat it in the mind, and I feel like if you go into it with the right setting and the right mindset, and you actually do your research on these substances, you can really benefit from them, especially in couples therapy. I have seen how ecstasy, which is MDMA in the purest form,
Mm.
it can really help with couples therapy. It really helps you just kind of get rid of all the inhibitions, like alcohol, kind of, but also connect on a way more spiritual level. You want
Mm.
to talk. You want to open up. You feel like if you don't, it's like there's something inside of you building, and you're just like, you feel bad.
Mm.
So LSD in the same way, like it changed my whole perspective on depression. I would say, and this is coming from me, like my whole personal experience. I tell everyone this that I talk about with LSD. For a long time, I was insanely depressed. I mean, I have self-harm scars. I have I went through addiction with alcohol before I was even 18.
Mm.
I went through a lot of problems in terms of my life and just mental in general. And I would say about 8 months ago, a really good homie of mine who you know,
Mhm.
helped me open my mind a little better. And I
Mm.
would say by doing that, I gained a perspective on life that is just something you can't teach someone. Like,
Mm.
because what I say is, look at life. Like, look at everything, how beautiful it is. Like,
Yeah.
do you not understand how amazing all of this is?
Yeah.
And most people, they're desensitized, you know. So they're
Mhm.
like, well, yeah, it's great, it's life, you know. But
Mhm.
it's that trip. It's the things you feel on that trip that make you appreciate
So
everything.
do me a favor and run me through what you think what does it feel like to do psychedelics, like give me like your idea of the feeling, and then if you want, man, even go into a trip report about that
Oh
shit.
hell yeah, bro!
Yeah, that'd be fire, bro.
So firstly, I'm gonna say I'm gonna try and describe a trip, but you fucking can't
Yeah.
because the feeling is it's.
Everything is in 4K.
He says like everything's in 4K, right? Like
4K.
that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Like visually, everything is a lot more
Real.
real. Like you can really see patterns and a lot more things you wouldn't pay attention to.
Mm.
But that's not the trip though. The trip isn't what you see. The trip is what happens inside your mind, and
Mm.
that's the thing that you have trouble describing to someone
Yes.
because it's such a alien but welcoming feeling if you are accepting of it. it'll almost take you and say, hey, you know, everything that you know and everything you're used to, well, forget about how you're used to it and look how fucking amazing it is.
Mm.
Look how this is,
Appreciate it.
appreciate this. Look how connected everything is. And it makes you feel very euphoric. You can get like come up anxiety when you first take it because like you ever been on a fucking plane and when you're waiting to go on the plane, you're just kind of like shit. I'm nervous, but I know I
Yeah,
have to go on the plane.
I
That's
know I
what I,
could die right
bro.
now.
That's what I. Yeah, it's like I'm a fucking crash, bro. Like I'm already dead. Like I'm
Yo, I
already
know.
fucking dead.
I,
Like
I think I think too, like from the perspective of like a trip and shit, man. I think what it does to people too is it scares them into loving life because it feels like you're dying.
yes, ego
And
death.
when you come back from it and all that stuff, like it kind of makes you appreciate what you have and all that other stuff, but it scares you into thinking like some crazy like mental stuff as far as like your life and you
Yeah,
know who you are, and it's an in-depth like journey mentally. It's the craziest thing. But what has been a trip report, bro? Like give us
dude.
one of your trips.
You just gave me a perfect idea for one. Oh god, that killed
Which
my
we
throat.
don't advocate the use of drugs on Forever Focus, but
Nah,
this is all just like scientific
education,
shit. We're just
education.
education, all of that good stuff. So go ahead, man.
So like, okay, when you said ego, you said you feel like you're dying. Um, I usually don't get that on like one tab. I've never have really. I've just felt like, if anything, I'm more alive. I'm more connected with everything.
Mm,
Uh, but about 3 weeks ago, me and Poltergeist here did 5 tabs together,
mm,
and 5 tabs is like you would say 1 tab is like being strapped to the back of the rocket and kind of like being able to move your body, hopefully trying to turn. And then 5 tabs is like you are on the outside of the rocket, like strapped to the outside in outer space, and you just have no clue where you're going. Like you're just like,
yeah.
I'm stuck here, and this is it, right?
Hmm.
So, ego. I took 5 tabs, and I already knew that it was gonna be a really intense trip, like because I fucking, I'm not stupid, right?
Yeah.
And I had to realize before I took the trip, I had to go into it knowing I'm gonna die. Technically, I
Hmm.
went into it trying my best. Like I already knew about it. I knew about ego death. I researched it. I knew that you can die inside your mind, and then kind of like your whole social being dies. Who you are
Hmm.
dies, and I knew that, and I was like, I'm ready for it. I think I can handle that feeling.
What does that
Um,
mean? What does that mean to you to lose the sense of self?
to lose the
You
sense
know.
of self will show you how to be at peace with everyone else. Because um, the only reason I can even speak on this is because I have lost my sense of self with that trip. I went into an ego death, and it was actually very scary.
Mm.
Very scary. I felt like I looked in the mirror like a dumbass, and I saw my face dripping and sweating and like dying, and I was like, shit. This
Yeah.
is like I'm dying. My ego's gone, and it
Mm.
was really scary. It was very panicky, but it's one of the most important things that have happened to me because I saw myself from a outer perspective in such a way that you can't do normally.
Mm.
Because I had no distractions. I didn't even know what life was really. I had no idea what time was. I had no idea what school was. Didn't know what music was. Didn't know anything. I was just
Mm.
looking at myself as like a non-existent, non-important being that has been placed here to experience life with everyone else, and that means spreading the positivity to allow them to experience life.
It's isn't it crazy how like you are an individual, right? And
Yeah.
like you're talking about your experience, but like if people was to do the research and go on YouTube and like look into different people's experiences,
Yeah.
funny how they're so similar.
It is, and I think it's because acid and psychedelics in general, what it does, the chemistry, is it's beautiful because everyone says like when I'm on acid I feel connected. I feel connected. Well, it's fucking hilarious because scientifically you are more connected. There have been scans on your brain done while you're tripping. And what happens is this part of the brain, instead of having 3 connections to this part, it has 13 more connections. So all of your brain's regions are interacting at such a hyperactive level that you are more connected, and that's why it creates sort of the same experience because in the end, without our sense of self, we are all still one brain, and we are
Yeah.
all still one consciousness, and so
So
we're gonna have that.
how do you feel? How do you feel about like what's your perspective on how like drugs, like psychedelics in general, like makes people feel about religion?
So it's really good question. Uh, so okay, so when I was raised by my dad when I was younger, everyone's a Christian when they're younger or a Catholic
Yeah.
because their parents, taught them, right?
Yeah.
So I became sort of an atheist, when I was around the age of like 15,
Mm.
and for about 3 years until actually 8 months ago when I took the first tab of acid, I was very very structured in that. I was like, no God, no God, no God, nothing exists. We don't know shit. Y'all are crazy. I'm sane here, right?
Mm.
And I took a tab of acid, and I realized there's no fucking way. There's no fucking way, dude. Like, there's no fucking way, bro. Like,
Yeah.
it's just like you can't like. But it also on religion, it made me hate it more. It made me despise the idea of religion in terms of control. It just
Mm.
and it's not that I hate the people who are religious. In fact, I love everyone who is religious because they tend to at least try and think a little more on the consciousness side, which is very respectable. But religion in itself and the Bible and all of these things that are drilled into your head at such a young age. Isn't that funny? At such a young age, it's when you're getting taught this stuff. It can really just lead to self-hatred. I mean, in the
Mm.
Bible, the Christian Bible, I'm gonna go be specific. You're taught that you're a sinner. You're taught that you cover your body because you're a sinner. And yet every day we cover our bodies. And you don't think about it, but if you're taught that deep down in your subconscious, you're gonna know that that's a sin. You're gonna know that jacking off is a sin. Bitch, come on. What? Like, let's be realistic. It's like, what? Nah. So it's all of these things lead you to kind of go on a path where you feel like you need that religion. You need to have that because you are a sinner and you're not worthy of having a happy life without that. Because if you go without that, you're going to hell. You don't deserve a happy life. You're not gonna have one. So it makes people kind of hate themselves, and there's nothing wrong with questioning that.
Yeah. I think when it comes to religion and stuff in general, even for people that don't have religion, I tend to look at people's belief systems as how I look at my own belief system. So, like, if there's something I don't understand about a different religion or something, but they're passionate about it, I love that shit because it just reminds me of how
Yeah,
passionate I am about what I believe. And I believe that's like where the whole everything becomes one thing because it's like you can look at a grain of sand, right? But then if you zoom the fuck out and go into the sky, it's a beach, and then you zoom
yeah,
out and then it's micro,
yeah.
like micromanaged kind of as far as
It's
scale.
the scale is amazing. I
Yeah,
mean,
so I that's what I'm saying. I kind of believe that with the religion thing, like, even if someone doesn't believe, they still choose to believe, not to believe, which is a belief system. So I still feel like they're passionate just as much as the person that goes to church every day and and
right.
prays and all that other good stuff. It's a sense of comfortness too, and I also believe like psychedelics. Honestly, a lot of it has been was discovered based on how like I would say someone that has experimented with psychedelics at some point in their life okay to uh I would consider them risk takers and like daredevils
Yeah,
because no one
taking a huge
it's the
risk.
psychedelic explorer, like it's
It's a
it's the
trip.
most in-depth one you can possibly go on because
Yeah,
you don't know if you're gonna come back, and like that is scary in itself, and
yeah,
it's not the case for everybody. It's a lot of people, they say scientists and shit say it's like really like safe and stuff like that, but I don't know, and I still feel like the idea of religion and stuff is something that's like I've seen a lot of people talk about that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like coming back from something and then feeling either connected even more
yeah. Or
or
disconnected.
disconnected. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
one of my homies was texting me about it like 2 weeks ago, talking about he did acid, and for the next like week and a half, he just felt so disconnected, and he would hit me up and be like, "Yo, like, am I straight?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, brother. Like, it's an afterglow. You have to wait for your consciousness and your whole mindset to kind of come back." And you know, it did, of course. You know, it always does. But
I think honestly, it might, and sometimes it doesn't though. Like honestly, because people think like, "Am I okay?" Because maybe a traumatizing experience with a bad trip can scare you into like,
true.
into like being like, you know what? Like the traumatizing part for me was that I can look at things differently, and now that I see them that way, I can't go back and look at them the regular way. So
Yeah,
it's
which
like,
is like never coming back, right? Never
yes,
being able. And I can respect that thought process because
Mm.
I wouldn't call it like never leaving the trip. What I would say, it's more like your perspective has changed, and there's a fear with changing your perspective. And in my opinion, that's why when I go into a trip, I go into a trip very analytically. I am very analytical in my trips. I'm not emotional very much. I do get emotional in terms of relationships, and you know, if I'm with the chick, obviously.
yeah,
But when it comes with like my trip itself, I'm very analytical. Why do I feel that way? How can that perspective affect this perspective? And I'm very like, I use it as a tool, and that means when I do come back, because you know the drug does metabolize it. I can kind of look at both perspectives and choose which one is the best path,
yeah.
and allows me to make better choices in my life. Because I've made a lot of choices based on my trips, and it's really helped me move in a more positive way.